What's up, SquidGrow family? Thanks for tuning in. We got some pretty exciting updates. I think everyone's been itching to hear for a long time now. The reason we get on this call now is that it sure feels like today, in particular, that we are very, very close, closer than ever, to finally coming onto the ETH chain. And I think we couldn't have picked a better time, to be honest. I'm seeing tokens with absolutely nothing to offer, anonymous teams, red flags galore, just absolutely sin for no reason. It's almost like people are just itching to catch the next big meme token. And we are a meme token. That is part of our marketing brand.
Utility meme token.
But a utility meme token exactly is what separates us from the others. And we're going to dive into some of that now as far as where we are with that and what the delay has been from and when we can get moving on ETH and capitalize on this craze that's going on right now, driving these gas prices up. So where should we start, man? There's so much, but it's definitely been a kind of a strange couple months through unexpected delays, series of events that have, kind of caused us to take a little bit longer than we wanted, of course. But I think it's going to all work out in the end here once we get on ETH, as we will soon see. But as far as things that have set us back, man, shit, where should we start? There's so much to dive into.
Well, I think maybe let's bring up our new addition and allow him to introduce himself to our community, and and then we can go into everything after that as far as updates and where we stand.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. So with that said, Abraham, would you like to come up and introduce yourself to the community?
Yeah, how's it going, everybody? I'm pretty much my name's Abe, and I'll be the developer. I'm a new developer on the team. I'm not really used to the public interaction, to be honest, but I'm more than willing to engage with you guys and keep you guys updated with progress. I'm more of a heads down kind of developer, but really moving towards that ETH launch and all that comes with it, including like bridge, new token, all that. So excited to be here and you know, uh, gonna build stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, without giving too much away as far as resume, the time that I've spent talking to you, man, I can tell that you're a cut above most people, to put it lightly. And my experience in the space with developers is that you have people that are developers in name and they say they're developers and they promise you this, and then they go get someone else to do it for you. And then you have real developers that can actually create things, get things done, and not only get things done, but get things done quickly and efficiently to the way that is asked of them. And I think that you are that second one and every inch of that definition. So from um, from the SquidGrow family, man, we're extremely happy to have you on board and give you a big welcome. We've got, a lot of devs, as Shiv has mentioned, but you pretty much is the lead for us. I think it's going to set us above a lot of other projects as we go forward, not only in this ETH launch, but for many, many months and years to come.
Yeah, I hope so. I definitely look to under promise and over deliver. But like I said, I'm just gonna let the work speak for itself.
Yeah, man, we're very excited to have you on board, and I will reiterate, yeah, what Dane said there. What I've seen so far has just been like miles above anything that we've experienced in the background. From pretty much the inception of SquidGrow, it's been really good to have you on board, and we look forward to kind of seeing what will come next as well.
Yeah, Shib, I think this is summarized very quickly, but the devs that we've come across in the time since SquidGrow was founded, we've come across pretenders, and now we've met someone like Calamari here, who is absolutely top notch. And the team of devs that we have on board alongside him, I think it puts us on the same level as major blue chip tokens that you guys are all familiar with. And as Calamari said, going to put his nose down, get the work done, and prove it now. But it's certainly gratifying from our end as a team to know that we have finally come across some absolutely monumental talent, and we've kind of weeded out the pretenders and the wannabes and the posers, and found the real stars of the space, the blockchain overlord, so to speak. And now they're here with us at SquidGrow, and Calamari is taking point on that, and it's just a pleasure to have him on board, and it feels good knowing that SquidGrow is in such great hands now.
Okay, just real quick. So let's kind of get into some of the things that you have developed in the past, previously, if you wouldn't mind.
So, not to say any names, but we'll just talk about some of the functionalities, like all the basic applications of DeFi, right? The DeFi toolkit, if you will, right? Decentralized exchanges, subgraphs for data, decentralized like indexers, lending protocols, leverage protocols, right? Lending's a huge thing in my recent positions. So I definitely been both on the meme token side, and then I spent some time in the more institutional side of DeFi, and I'm kind of in between right now. Coming into SquidGrow, I'm bringing my institutional experience back in, really looking to do things the right way. And yeah, so A to Z, you name it, we've done, ICOs that are in the billions. So I've been doing this for a while. I've definitely made my fair share of mistakes, and you guys are going to benefit from those lessons, right? So,
amen.
That's just it, man. It's like there's no job really when it comes to doing what you do. There's no job posting for it on on LinkedIn and things like that. It is kind of like a contractual, unique thing where you're pioneering a new and booming space. And the people that are best at that are simply the ones that are doing it on a day-to-day basis. And I think you embody that fully, because there's a lot of people that maybe were good at developing back when they're in college. Maybe they learned C++. Maybe they knew some stuff that was good back with Linux or Java or something back when that mattered. But when it comes to the blockchain, Solidity, and websites and the current state of affairs, how things have evolved, you have to have stayed current. And I think that's what is so kick-ass about you, man, is it's been very apparent to us in the time that we've been working together already that you can get shit done, and you can get shit done with cutting
breakneck speed as well without cutting corners. I mean, it's been ridiculous.
So I've been in projects where we'll be building for months, and then all of a sudden what we're building all of a sudden is obsolete, right? Because the industry pivots so fast, and so you've kind of wasted months of money, time, dev work, just completely wasted because the entire industry shifted, right? And so that's why I kind of learned, like, if you're not making an MVP as soon as possible, by the time you're done building it, the rest of the industry is going to be on the next thing, right? So that's why reaching market is number one priority always, right?
Agree with that 100%.
That's on. This is one of the coolest things about SquidGrow. As it's evolved, we've brought on talent on both the front and back end. Some that you guys have met, some that you haven't yet, and you will, starting with Calamari here. And it's so exciting to see it evolve. And I think it's going to continue to do that going forward in so many different ways. And yeah, going back to what we are, of course, we'll be able to tap into this meme craze when we come to ETH. But what separates us from all these meme tokens is that we actually have utility, and we actually have big ambitions with that we will deliver on. So I guess the next step now, Shib, is just to kind of dive into what we've been doing this whole time. And I know the question in people's mind we'll get to at the end is how close we are. Save that one. And let's dive into what's the current state of affairs. What is on the menu right now for the month of May for SquidGrow to get us going?
Okay, well, as we know, obviously we've been in CertTech audit for over a month now. Security is key here, So I wasn't willing to cut any corners and, rush anything, in that regard. I wanted to make sure everything safe and secure. We tested it. We tested it again. We audited it. Then we tested it again. And if there was anything recommended, first of all, there was no security issues that came up at all in our audit whatsoever. There was some logic issues, mostly with the swap. So obviously that's why SGS is still in pen test. We are working to work out some of those issues, mostly when you are switching between networks, BSC to Ethereum. There was an issue with that. It was not a smooth transition. So that's something that we've been working towards to iron that out. And we are getting into the home stretch with that. But I do want to highlight there was no security issues with anything that we put out. So everything that we put to audit had not been deployed, with the exception of our main contract. Obviously, that's been deployed. Any of the recommendations that Certec suggested, we can't do anything about that. But even with that, there was no security issues. So we've just been working with Certec, trying to get the absolute best score that we can get. And touching on Certec real quick, some of y'all might have noticed that our score with Certec did drop down a tad bit right after we got ranked and verified. Speaking to the Certec team, this is something that has to do with their API, and it's my understanding that they are working to sort it out. What was the area that they dinged us? Dane, do you recall off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's called operational resilience, and it sounds like from what they told us that was from a glitch on their end that they're looking into.
Yes, correct. So so it wasn't because of anything that we did that we dropped points. We were told that it was some kind of glitch in an API that they use on their end, so they're working to resolve that. But just kind of going forward, where we're at current state of affairs, excuse me, let me correct myself. SGS is due to finish penetration test sometime in the very near future. I won't give a particular timeline, but I'm very hopeful that it will be before you know it. In addition to that, our ILO audit is due to be done tomorrow. That's also been in the auditing process, and we just went full force with that after going back and forth with Certec. We finally pushed that through to audit. That is supposed to be cleared tomorrow, and that the ILO audit with SGS penetration test are the last things that we are waiting on right now. So I think it's safe to say that we will be going live within this month. I can't foresee it going past that at all. Obviously, security is key, so we're not cutting corners on that. But tech is working as fast as they can possibly work, and we got heavy hitters on like Calamari, working with us to help make sure that if there's any issues that are coming about, that we can iron them out as quick as possible.
Yeah, well said, man. I think I'm with you. I don't foresee any reason why we would take longer than this month to launch. I think it's going to be this month. I think we all want it to be as well. We obviously see the window that is ETH right now and all the different random projects booming. We want to tap into that and show them who's boss. So that's our goal for sure, is to launch this month. So we're not far away. We're not going to give a date because that's not what we do. But we're thinking definitely sooner rather than later, and this month being the window. So very excited about that. It's been a long time coming, I know. Long time to exist and even at sometimes thrive on BSC with so many people staked and believing in us. It's been pretty incredible to see that. But I think the bar is going to be raised exponentially when we come over to ETH and we attract that wide field of investors there, where all the OG DeFi whales are. All Shib's friends back from Shib and
Yep.
all those fun times. That's where they stayed, a lot of them. So it's time to go bring our package to them. And just a couple things, like Shib mentioned, the ILO is in audit. It's like the new website and the white paper and stuff that I mentioned yesterday in the Telegram pin post. That is near completion, being coded currently. And from there, it's that pin test. And then we hit the ground running with the ILO.
And just to be clear, the website or the ETH launch is not dependent on the new white paper and the website. If it's completed in time, then great. If it's not going to hold us up. We've been working at designing, redesigning our website and our white paper for a couple weeks now. And it was all about finding a dev with the expertise to kind of design how we wanted to have it designed and implement everything we wanted implemented on there. So, we finally found that and we pulled the trigger on that. But the ETH launch is not dependent on the new website and our white paper. We are going to move forward. And just to kind of give you an idea of what ETH is going to look like when we do move forward, obviously we have an ILO page that is going to be going live. And through this ILO page, you will be able to contribute to the ILO. It will automatically calculate your bonuses. And after we move on from the ILO, the next phase will be the token trade-in. And when you trade in your tokens, it will automatically calculate your bonus on that as well. And if I'm not mistaken, Calamari, after I seed liquidity, there will be an option for everybody to actually redeem their tokens from within the ILO page, correct?
It'll be attached to it, a different tab, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you essentially will go back to the ILO page, and then you will just hit claim, and the tokens will be airdropped to your wallets, and we will be off to the races at that point. Let me see if I'm skipping over anything technical wise. No, I think that's pretty much it as far as where we stand on that stuff.
Bridge is done. You mentioned that. You mentioned the bridge being done as well.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, the bridge has been done, but yes, the bridge is done. The audit's done. Obviously, we had that audited with Surtech, but the bridge has been done. So that's not going to hold us up. Literally, the only things we are waiting on is the pen test for SDS, and then the ILO audit, which I'm told should be done tomorrow.
Yeah, so
Nice.
it's a little bit of final details, and we are pretty much ready to hit that ground running.
Yeah, we're just crossing our T's, dotting our I's. We just want to make sure that everything we put out is quality. Everything we put out is working. I don't want any repeats of our previous staking contract where there was a decimal issue. So I don't want any hang-up like that. And kind of moving forward, when we do go live and ETH, the liquidity in ETH has been seeded. Like I said previously, we are rolling out new staking contracts, which have also been audited by Surtech. And essentially, we're going to add another tab to our website with the new staking contract. And essentially, you'll be able to go to the V1 or the V2 staking contract where your tokens are now. We will turn off rewards, so you are no longer earning rewards in there. You will withdraw your tokens from that staking contract. And before we get to that point, the team on our side is going to take a snapshot of everybody's addresses that are in there. And I will go through on the new staking platform and whitelist everybody's address that is currently in the staking contract. And that will allow you to get into the new staking contracts without having to pay a fee. And then as you come in, it'll be tax-free. We will leave that open for an undecided amount of time currently. And then after that time has came and went, we will remove the whitelisted addresses. So it's in your best interest to get into the staking contract as soon as you can, because the whitelisting function is not going to remain, open indefinitely. So definitely want to get out of the previous staking contract and into the new one, unless you want to, pay your tax again. So then the whitelist function will be removed, and our APRs are going to be pretty substantial on the Ethereum. Starting out, the BSC APRs are not going to be changed. They're going to be as they are now. But with that said, as people come out of the BSC contract and move over to the Ethereum, the APRs are going to go up. They are variable. So I can understand wanting to hang around in the current contract as long as you can. But with that said, we are turning off rewards on the current staking contract. So there is not going to be any benefit to you to just kind of linger around in the new staking contract. You're going to want to get into the new staking contracts as soon as you can. The sooner you get into the staking contract, the better. The higher the APR is going to be. Obviously, as people start to come in, the APRs will go down. The BSC APR will settle around where it is currently. But on the Ethereum side, our APRs are going to be debuting around 100% APR. And our liquidity staking, I'm going to settle that around 250 APR for the liquidity staking. And over time, we will gradually scale that down. You know, essentially the same pace that we have done with the BSC. You know, we don't want to drastically scale it back too quick, but we will start scaling it back. These new staking contracts are kind of geared towards self-sustaining. That's why there are the taxes that we have going in and coming out. And those tax will go back into the staking contract. So if you opt to, you know, unstake your bag or pull harvest rewards, the tax that you're paying will go back into the pool and will be distributed towards to everybody else that's currently in the contract. So we're just trying to be a little more self-sustaining. You know, obviously our APRs have been fine. We've been able to sustain those, no issues. But long term, you know, Binance, I believe, deems sustainable APRs between 5 to, I think, 8%, maybe 10%. Dane, is that about right? 8 to 10%, or 5 to 10%, something around there.
Yeah, typically like 8 to 12, 8 being the low, like mid to low end, and 12 being the high to extreme end is what I've seen on Binance.
Yeah. So we're just kind of gearing towards trying to fall into the sustainable realm. Obviously, we can sustain our APRs at whatever we choose because I'm putting the funds into the staking contracts. But as far as bigger exchanges go, we do have to follow suit with you know, what they deem sustainable. So we will be eventually scaling down to fall into that range. Like I said, nothing will be immediate or drastic. We will slowly scale down, but that is the long-term goal of that for our staking contracts.
It's absolutely massive, man. It's quickly becoming one of the best tokens to actually earn passive income on and actually trust it while you're doing it in the DeFi space. There's not many of them, but I think this one has proven itself, especially being able to pull that off on BSC over the duration of our projects linked already. But basically being able to continue that over onto ETH with the percentages you just mentioned, I think is massive in and of itself. And that's not even getting into that long laundry list of things we have coming out after we hit the ground running on ETH. And you guys all know we're capable of doing pretty insane things, as you've gotten snippets of over the past couple months. For instance, with the next crypto gem that Shib lined up, we are capable of doing those things. And we've actually kind of dialed it back intentionally because we know that BSC just hasn't been as responsive to that type of marketing as when we get on ETH. So once we're on ETH, once we get this done, the ILO's over, you guys got your ETH tokens, everybody's happy, the pumps happen, we find a nice new big floor. At that point, the marketing machine, the fun with the utilities that we've been teeing up, all that stuff starts to really get close, coming to fruition, and the momentum begins to build again. That's the game plan, and that's what I'm personally excited for. Not just getting to ETH, saying, hey, we did it, but getting to ETH, kind of looking at it as a new beginning to really run with.
Yep, 100%. And you know, I mean, I do want to say, you know, to anybody that's new in the chat, it is not required that you move over to ETH. You are more than welcome to stay on BSC. It comes down to preference. We are incentivizing, obviously. If you decide to move over to ETH, there's an incentivize to do that, but it is not required. BSC is not going anywhere. It's just one step in the direction that we're going. You know, this is going to be the first chain that we are expanding to, Ethereum. I'm very excited about it. It's my home turf. I've got a lot of support over there. So I'm very, very bullish on it. It's something that I've wanted to roll out much, much sooner. But, you know, there's a certain check systems that you've got to go through and make sure that everything is, first of all, safe and then working properly. And also user friendly. you don't want to overcomplicate anything. So there's been a lot of that. Obviously, some of the people maybe listening in this chat were pulled in to check out SGS, and from the valuable feedback that we were given, a month and a half, 2 months ago, we were able to adjust some of the suggestions that were given to us. So we do, actually pull community members in to test some of the things that we were testing, although, we have the understanding that it's something that they're not going to go around and talk about, so on and so forth. We do that periodically. So if you've not been pulled in to test anything yet, there's always an opportunity in the future. Just know that, when we pull you in, it's with confidence that you're not going to go, start running around and talking about it and so on and so forth. But I am very happy with the way that everything has progressed. It was a little slower than I had hoped, but I'm just as bullish on it, now as I was, 2 months ago.
Likewise, I think and then some. I think it's actually worked out for the better. Somehow, it's in the middle of 2023, which I equate to 2019. We've got DeFi back on its thing again, and that's awesome because it couldn't be better timing for a nice new SquidGrow supply launch. And yeah, as Shib mentioned, all these things coming to fruition now. We are right around the corner from actually going live. We're aiming to get it done this month. If you just got tuned in, so just get ready, fasten your seatbelts if you're staying on BSC because you're in for a show. And if you're moving over to ETH, it's going to be very easy for you to do so. We've thought out all that process and how it's going to go, and we're going to make it as seamless as possible for you to switch over. And if you're new here, welcome to SquidGrow. We look forward to having you as a holder on ETH and making you a bunch of X's, of course.
Yeah, agreed. And just to kind of highlight, guys, we've been around now since June, so we're coming up on, a year in a couple months. And during that amount of time, we've made some ripples in the space. We are still a micro cap. We still have a lot of growing to do, but we are crossing our T's and dotting our I's. We are rolling out. By the time ETH rolls, we're going to have 7 CertTech audits. We've got the CertTech API. We have just recently become ranked and verified on CMC, which at a $10 million market cap, I mean, that's far and few between, in my personal experience. So that's massive. We're integrated into the Trust Wallet swap, and ETH will be the same. So, I mean, we are coming loaded. We have a history, we have a reputation, and now we are coming to Ethereum where like a lot of OG money is. And I'm very, very excited for this. I mean, it's, anybody that's listened to my previous AMAs, we almost actually debuted on Ethereum chain, but we opted to go BSC first, kind of build our reputation up and show everybody that, when we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And, make sure that we obviously have done everything by the book and taken security at the top of priority. So, rolling out to ETH, I mean, we've got a lot of boxes already checked, and I think we're going to be a contender over there. I'm definitely very bullish on it. And again, although we have not given a timeline on the Ethereum launch, it has taken a little longer than I would have liked. But again, that goes back to crossing our T's and dotting our I's and making sure that everything is of quality and working properly. And at the end of the day, I think everybody is going to be a lot more satisfied knowing that we've taken some extra time to make sure that everything is safe and secure and working properly. Nobody wants to migrate to ETH and then figure out or discover that, our swap isn't working, or there's a decimal issue with the staking contracts, or, any of the things that we've experienced in the past. So it was very important that we iron out all the fine details before we go live, and that's what we have done. So, I mean, we have been way overdue for an update, but here's the update. I think it's very safe to say that ETH is going to be going live within this month, and I'm very, very excited for it.
Mic drop. I think I think that sums it up, man. As far as updates, that's as much as we can give you right now. In the words of Ronnie Coleman, I think there ain't nothing to it but to do it. Just peanut, lightweight. So we got to go do it now.
Hey, real quick. Since this is recorded and some of the newer people in here might not know, let's touch on the next crypto gym. Let's touch on kind of what that's
Yeah.
about, within the scope that we can actually discuss it.
Yeah. Do you want me to
So-
introduce, or do you want to go ahead?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead, and I'll follow suit.
Okay, so basically, one thing that crypto hasn't been involved in the last cycle, or really any time, aside from like a commercial here though, or like a UFC logo or something on the bat, is TV, right? It hasn't really had its own airtime with a show in the mainstream media. So the first thing we saw was a massive opportunity when we came across the next crypto gym, because it's the first of its kind. It'll be airing sometime this summer. We think July, possibly a little bit of delay, but we're thinking July. And when it airs, I'm going to let Shib get into that. But we've positioned ourselves to be basically the top sponsor of that show. And that show will be seen all over across all different networks internationally and inside the US and Canada. So it'll be very easy to find it if you're going for traditional streaming services. And I'm sure you could figure out a way to find it on like the pirated stuff too, if that's your cup of tea. But it's to be very exciting, because basically the timing of it is going to line up with a new shift where the markets are starting to come back to being bullish again. And for the first time ever, crypto will be introduced to a mainstream audience. And that in and of itself is going to be massive for the industry. And to have our logo and our brand represented, and I'm going to let Shib dive into how it will be represented on that medium, I think is going to be massive. And not only massive during the airtime of the show when it first airs, but potentially for years to come. Because if anyone remembers like Shark Tank and shows like that when they first came out, maybe you weren't watching during the first couple seasons, but then you caught wind of it like a few years after and you went back and watched them. I believe that this show has that type of potential. And so not only will our brand be there when it first airs, but it'll be there anytime someone tunes in, because it'll actually be tied into the individual episodes, not as commercials in between, but actually in the show.
Yep.
You want to expand on that, maybe, Ship?
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and start touching base. So kind of one of the first promotions we're doing is our logo is going to be dead center behind all the judges. So anytime the judges are on camera, our logo and our brand is going to be there. In addition to that, we are running advertisements during the show. And these advertisements are going to be burned into the episodes, meaning that they're not going to be there just for the first premiere. It's always going to be there. Years down the road, our advertisement is going to be there. In addition to that, on the screen of the TV, our QR code and our logo are going to be there, easily accessible for anybody to scan with their mobile device. It's going to take them to our website, and from our website, they can find our Twitter channels, our Telegram, our swap, any updated information that we have there moving forward. So I'm very, very excited about this. It was a hell of an opportunity that presented itself, and I jumped all over it. Signed a nice fat contract for this, and I think it's a very bullish move for us. We have been told June or July it will air. I do know they have some big crypto influencers on the show, not only as judges but also guest appearances as well. So as I said, anytime that the judges are on screen, we're going to be represented there with our logos. Our QR code is going to be burned into the TV, so that's going to be easily there for anybody to scan with their mobile device, take them right to our website. And then we have our advertisements ran during the show. I don't exactly know how at this moment how the advertisements will be ran, but we do have 30 seconds of airtime for every episode that is airing, and that is for the duration of the first season. And as they mentioned in their tweet, we are in talks about additional sponsorships of the show for down the road, and that can also pivot into other avenues of much greater value as well.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to meet some really cool people. We all saw pictures of you and Brian, and
you only saw some of the pictures, but yeah, I think one picture. But yeah, I met some super heavy hitting guys, and there's some more meeting to be done in relation to that. But very excited. This has opened up a lot of doorways for our project. I mean, this is going to put us you know, on the audience of a global, you know, global outreach. You know, I mean, this TV show is going to be in multiple countries on multiple networks. I mean, it's going to be massive.
Yeah,
And you know,
the way I look at
and
shit is like there's UFC fighters, right? Like if you think about the UFC, it's a comparison to this. And the only way you're going to meet those UFC fighters and Dana White and the guys at the top like Joe Rogan is if you sort of have an in of some kind, right? If you get into that inner circle of people, you might get the chance to party with them or hang out with them or do business with them. And essentially, what this is it's kind of our entry key into that world of crypto. So, like, basically, Shibtoshi and SquidGrow now have gotten into the inner circle of influencers and people who really are shaping the industry. And you saw that with Brian, you saw that with their podcasts, or spaces rather, with George. I am Cryptos Are Us. These types of connections. I think we got a BitBoy shout out. Like, these types of connections are the things that are happening now behind the scenes quietly, and Shib is just teeing them up one by one for ETH. And it's exciting from a marketing standpoint to know that your project is going to be viewed in that light going forward, especially going into the next bull market. I think you couldn't have chosen a better spot to try to advertise, because it's going to be one of those things, that rare things rather, that bridges the gap between casuals who don't really know about crypto and the actual world of crypto. It's going to be one of those rare things that gets outreach towards them, and we'll be right there behind those judges. And like Shib said, a lot more interesting things to come from meeting that type of people.
yeah, I'm definitely very excited on it. You know, like I said, the opportunity presented itself, you know, and negotiations ensued, came to a contractual agreement, and, you know, that's done. You know, what's done is done. And I'm very excited about it. You know, I remember when, you know, Shark Tank first came out, it was a show that I really wasn't into. But, you know, kind of as the seasons progressed, I went back and started binge watching it. And, you know, I think the next crypto jam has all of that potential. It's the first of its kind, you know, and I think it's going to be massive. The people that are going to be tuning into this are going to be crypto oriented. So they're already going to be interested in crypto. And we're going to be directly marketed to hundreds of millions of people, you know, as they watch TV in their homes. I think it's massive, you know, and information about our project is going to be at their fingertips. All they have to do is scan the QR code. You know, also there's, like I said, there's going to be promotionals, you know, on the episodes as well, to kind of give them a little bit about the project and myself as well. And, you know, if that intrigues their interest, you know, they can scan the QR code and you know, surf our websites, you know, for additional information, find our Telegram groups, find our Twitter pages, you know, find our swap, find the exchanges we're listed on. You know, I think it's definitely massive. I'm very excited about it.
Agreed. It's unique as well. Everybody does billboards and Twitter shout outs and things like that, this, that, and the other, that's typical. But this is something that's atypical, and it's something that is going to separate us, I think, for many months to come, as people tune into the show and as it gets popularity, which I believe it will. And it's one of the many examples that we're going to be doing for marketing as things pick up. So it's nothing trivial. It's nothing to just shrug off. This is really big, and it's worth talking about and letting people know about, because you're going to see this project behind those judges on every episode with our own commercial burnt into the show. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I couldn't believe it when Shib signed that. So, myself, I'm extremely excited for that one.
Yeah, very excited, very, very excited about it as well. So, you know, so that's kind of what we've got for you guys right now. Unless R-Dub, if we are overlooking something, you know, with the ETH launch.
No, man. No, man. I think you guys have covered it really well. Yeah, there was nothing that you missed, actually. I'm looking forward to it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time coming for everyone. I think it's been, we've had like a really patient community, like Dane said. But, these things are definitely going to be worth the wait. As Shib spoke about, you know, it's a pretty grueling process going through all these things. And to think about if we had cut corners and launched a little early and something had not been perfect, we would have been, you know, extremely disappointed, and you guys would have been as well. So at least now we know that everything's going to be perfect, and we can't wait for it.
Agreed. And with that, I want to commend, you know, Dane and Dub as well for the hard work that they're doing in the background. I don't know if the vast majority of the community know this, but our Dub, you know, recently had COVID and was fairly sick for the last couple weeks, and he was still out, you know, pulling long hours and doing what needs to be done, you know, to make sure that we stayed on track, you know. And you know, last couple weeks I've been sick myself, but that's not stopping us or holding us back at all. We're still on the grind, you know, moving forward in the direction that we need to move on. So, you know, I just want to commend Dane and RW, you know, for busting their tails for the community and the
Thanks, man.
project. So, I
And
mean,
same to Shib
I
as
know that
well.
I know that COVID stuff is not a joke.
Brutal.
So, no joke,
Yeah.
no joke. So, but I'm definitely very excited about it. So, you know, I think at this point, Dane, you know, you can probably cut the recording and then let's open it up to any questions, you know, from the community.
Sounds good, man. I'm gonna ask you two annoying questions if you don't think that. I know them logically.
Okay.
So I'm do it while the recording's on, then I'll turn it.
Mhm.
Just end it right away. So I'm gonna put you in a spot for two of them. So feel free to just say no comment. So the first
Okay.
one is, I know I see this question like at least once a day in the chat. What's up with BitBoy? You know, like he's been kind of off the rails lately with DeFi, with what he's doing, but like there's been some rumors that you're gonna go on the show. Is that true? What can you tell us with that?
Yeah, so you know, I can't speak in too much detail about that, but BitBoy is interested in having me on his show and talking about our project. And those of you that do not know, BitBoy's stance on meme coins have kind of shifted substantially recently, and you know, he is interested in, you know, obviously invested in meme coins now and kind of getting to know a little more about memes and you know, kind of the inner workings of the community, and you know, just wanting to educate himself a little more. For the longest time, he kind of took a hard stance on it, you know, with memes that they're scams and this, that, and the other. And he it's my understanding he got a lot of blowback for taking that stance because he's never actually dabbled in the meme coin realm. And memes have minted a lot of multi-millionaires relatively quickly. So to kind of just write that off, you know, without kind of being involved in it at all, it was my understanding he got some blowback. So we were contacted by the BitBoy team and asked if we were interested in talking to BitBoy. Obviously, some conversations went back and forth. And when the video that BitBoy dropped on his YouTube channel dropped, I was unaware that he was actually going to do that. I was aware that we were going to come on the show. We are waiting for the time frame on that, but it's my understanding that a couple meme projects will come up on his show, and you know, the owners or the speakers for the project will kind of say their pieces in regards to the project. And if 50% of the people watching that live stream vote for that project, he will invest, I believe, $5,000 into that meme project, and obviously give updates, you know, through the rest of the bear market and through the bull run as well on that project. So if we go on a show and he happens to invest into us, we got coverage from BitBoy for as long as he's going to hold our project for. I mean, he will be giving updates on our project, how his holdings are, and just kind of get us, you know, in front of his audience. So I think it could definitely be massive.
Yeah, everybody's got an opinion on BitBoy, and it just stop and think about that statement. Everybody's got an opinion on BitBoy. Whether you like him, whether you hate him, whether you think he's funny, whether you think he's a goofbag, whatever. Everybody has an opinion, which means he has a lot of exposure. So that is pretty cool. I appreciate you clearing that up because there's been a lot of people DMing me and asking about that in chat. So I figured.
He broke the SBF thing. You know, I mean, that kind of put him front and center. You know, so obviously, BitBoy's a somebody in this space, but you know, that kind of put him front and center. you know, and you know, the opportunity for the project to do this, whether, you know, whatever your opinion of him is, positive or negative, um, you know, at the end of the day, he's still in crypto. He's still in this market. He wants to kind of familiarize himself with meme tokens, and you know, and ultimately, if he invests into us, we're going to have exposure from him, and he's going to be updating, you know, talking about the projects and what we're doing and his holdings and so on and so forth. So I think it's going to be massive. And like I said, in the early days when, you know, there was some back and forth between the project and BitBoy in the very early days after we launched, um, all exposure is good exposure. And I think this is geared towards more of a positive thing, you know, because he's actually woke at this point. You know, he's actually interested in meme tokens. He's not taking the negative stance that, you know, they're all, you know, scams and so on and so forth. He's actually listening now, watching, you know, familiarizing himself. So,
Think
you know, with him taking interest like that, I think it could be massive for us. And that's just one other avenue of, you know, kind of what's going on.
Yeah, I think a lot of these influencers are coming into the blue chip space more than I've ever seen this last like month. It's pretty cool to see, but they got a lot to learn, and we can teach them a few things too. The guys that have been here in DeFi, the OGs, the DGens, I think are the senseis of the space, and the blue chips got a lot to learn when they come in. I know they're getting wrecked left and right probably when they first enter, trying to listen to their followers shilling garbage, to be honest. So yeah, that's just one of many though. So the other question I was going to ask you before I'll cut the recording off, just to keep it short. A lot of people are noticing a trend on ETH with the taxes. You know how it is, the 2 zeros. Yep. What's your brief stance on that, doing that at any point in time?
Okay, well, like I've said previously, and I've been pretty transparent about this, you know, when everything, you know, after we have achieved our market cap and our liquidity is fat and happy, you know, I do plan on scaling our tax down to 0.0. It will probably come in stages, but eventually I can see us going 0.0. At the present time, I think it could be a potential fatal mistake to drop us to 0.0. We are still a micro cap. And although we do have good liquidity to market cap ratio, you know, I'm not willing to chance it at this point, by dropping our sell and our buy and sell tax. But you know, eventually in the future, at some point, you know, I can foresee us start scaling it down. But in the immediate future, you know, it's not something I'm even thinking about currently. It has been on my radar for a long time, but you know, at this present time, I'm not willing to jeopardize the project by going 0.0. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. 0.0. Yeah. So, you know, we got everybody talking about us now. Everybody's buying us. We got the Mev bot jumping in, you know, front running everybody, you know, giving us that volume. But at the same time, the Mev bot can wreck a lot of people, you know, by front running you. In addition to that, at 0.0, we've got nothing going to liquidity other than just the small percentages that occur from the buys when you actually are purchasing tokens out of PancakeSwap or Uniswap, you know. But we're not getting that extra liquidity into our liquidity pool. So, you know, if we scale it down, you know, too fast or too soon, you know, we could completely lose our liquidity to market cap ratio. And, you know, obviously, if our liquidity ratio drops down enough, relatively low buys are going to start sending the chart. But, you know, when we go up and we've got not a solid base to stand on after we're at the top, when people start pulling profit, we're going to drop down, you know, relatively quickly. We saw it on our run up to 52 million. Our liquidity started off at an 8% market cap to liquidity ratio. On the run ups, when I was running the low buy tax, we ran up relatively quick, but our ratios dropped down to, I believe, 2%, 2.5%. And at 52, 53 million market cap with a 2% liquidity ratio, we weren't able to hold that floor. And, you know, it's taken us some time to build that liquidity ratio back up. And I think it would be a rookie mistake on my behalf to drop our tax 0.0 and just kind of repeat the process over again. Because at the end of the day, you know, any substantial run-ups, somebody's going to pull profit. You know, some people are going to dump, you know, with complete disregard of the other investors. and we'll find ourselves in the same old pattern again. You know, I want that strong base. I pride myself in the ability that my whales can actually pull if they wanted to pull. I don't want anybody to have millions in their wallet but no liquidity to pull that, because I can tell you from firsthand experience that's not any fun. You know, to see all these zeros in your crypto wallet, but knowing that there's not enough liquidity to get any of it out. So, you know, although you know, having a tax, a buy and sell, might be frowned upon, for the greater security of the community and everybody's investment, I think it's the smart play here. And you know, until our market cap is substantial and our liquidity is good and fat, and the team and I discuss, and we feel that, you know, we can actually start scaling tax down, our buy sell tax will stand. I've gotten a lot of DMs about this 0 tax, and you know, this isn't my first go round. You know, I've been in the market a long time. I know I know how 0 projects do. You know, they run up. Some of them, you know, sustain high floors, but majority of the time they have a quick run up and then they come back down and they eventually die. That's not going to be us, because our liquidity is going to be so dang thick that nobody's going to be able to single-handedly destroy us. So, and then you bring in
there's a dirty secret of those 0 tokens that I've talked about before in this chat.
Well, yeah,
You know, and I'm not going to throw shade at anybody here, but the reality is, in order to them to make marketing moves when they get to a certain level, they've got to sell tokens against their chart to make that money. And that's not something we want to ever do, is dump tokens on our own chart ever. And secondly, they buy their own supply to create. You know, buying supply is not really really an ethical thing to do. You know, buying low and selling high in your community, that's kind of an odd way to pump a chart. It just doesn't sit right with me. And the reality of these 0 tokens is that when you start out with one, your liquidity ratio at that point effectively becomes your ceiling, because you're not really going to add liquidity, and the ratio is going to get stay what it is. As that market cap climbs higher and higher, that ratio gets thinner and thinner, and you're more subject to higher volatility and larger, brutal movements downwards, to put it frankly. So the liquidity that we're building with the tax is for the longevity of the project. And as we get bigger in our floor, the liquidity will stay with a nice, healthy ratio and allow us to sustain those floors. And that is what's going to separate us from those 0 projects, is that we're here to stay. You know, our narrative is not, hey, look at us, we can pump, we can list on this, we can list on this, we can pump, and then we fade away. You know, our narrative is a long one, that we're here to stay and become a staple in this space. And in order to do that, you have to have liquidity so that people can sell. And so that tax is very effective. And I actually fully agree with your response. And I'm happy to see that you're not just jumping on board with a trend that people don't really understand.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game of chess, and although in this particular market, this bear market right now, there might be some projects out there that are thriving and absolutely killing it. You know, everybody knows the projects that we're talking about here. You know, but the difference is we're gonna be here next year when the bear market comes back. We're still gonna be around. Our liquidity pools are still gonna be fat. We're still gonna be holding. You know, these 0 projects with very thin liquidity, yeah, they might be thriving right now, but what's the longevity of that project? Is it going to be around? I mean, debatable. They could be, they might not be. It's hard to say. I'll tell you what, you know, if one or two of their top whales start dumping tokens, they could rug the liquidity 6 times over. You know, with the amount of supply that they hold to liquidity ratio. So that's not going to be a problem that we're going to face. So, I mean, I'm not willing to jeopardize the project just to appease some community members and drop tax to 0. It's just not going to happen. I've invested way too much money, way too much time into this project to just throw my hands up and kind of go with the mercy of the market, because people that are relatively new to the space are telling me that they know how to run a project better than myself. You know, and I might not have it all figured out. I've been in this game since 2011. You know, this is my first project. You know, obviously, so there's a learning curve. You know, kind of, you know, we're learning as we're going. But what I do know is liquidity is key, and liquidity to market cap is something that matters. So, you know, that's not something that I'm willing to put up to chance at this current time.
Well said, man. Well, I'll go ahead and cap off the recording. here now. Thanks for listening, everybody.